Okay, so I know it's summertime for a lot of you guys now, and I thought a good video idea for today would be going through like some of my favorite books that I like, that I have like just like in my room around, and yeah, so that's what we're gonna be doing today. So stay tuned. First book that I'm gonna be going over is called Always and Forever Laura Jean, and it's written by Jenny Han, and it actually like. Okay, someone's mowing the lawn. Okay, so this book actually is the third book in the series. The first book is To All the Boys I've Loved Before, which I know a lot of you have heard of because of the Netflix movie. But yeah, so this is the third book. I don't know why I just have the third book. Like, I think the first book is actually the best book in my opinion. But yeah, so here it is. If you guys like, okay, this is for those who like haven't watched the movie, haven't read the books. It's kind of about these three sisters and their relationship with each other and their relationship with kind of the guys that they meet along the way of high school. It really centers around the middle child, Laura Jean, the middle sister, and it's kind of just about her high school experience. Kind of, she starts off as like someone who's really just like inside, like she doesn't really socialize, I guess, that much. Like, she has a core group of friends, or like she has friends, but really her best friend was her older sister Margaret, who is now in college, so she kind of has to branch out, and that's when she meets Peter and then a bunch of other people, and it's kind of about her and Peter too, and just like their relationship as it like grows over the three books. So yeah, it's definitely a really good read. I would definitely recommend all three books. So yeah. Okay, so the second book I'm going to be talking to you about is called Carry On, and it's written by Rainbow Rowell, and it is so good. Okay, so it's about this guy named Simon, and it's like, I don't know, like, okay, how someone described it to me was that it's kind of like Harry Potter, but better, like, if that's possible. In my opinion, I think it's kind of better too. It's kind of hard to describe. He goes to a school of like magic, so I would say, here's like a map of the school. I would say that if you really like books with really strong characters, like really unique characters, definitely breaks like all the cliches and everything, I would definitely say pick up this book. It's so good. There's so many great characters to love and like plot twists you don't see coming, and you really just immerse yourself. Like, it might not be as immersive as the Harry Potter or the Wizarding World, but its characters definitely make up for it, and the romance is just so adorable. So definitely pick this book up this summer. Okay, so this book is called The Nightingale, and it is by Christian Hannah. It's definitely a lot different from the other books that I just mentioned. It's historical fiction. It's set in France, as you can tell by the Eiffel Tower. It's about these two sisters and the different lives they lead going through World War II. One, the oldest sister, has a family. She lives in the countryside of France, and it's about the German soldiers who come and live in her house and how drastically her life changes once France is occupied. And the younger sister has her own journey of helping the Allies and getting troops. I don't want to spoil anything, but she has her own journey that she has to go through. That's really like trying to help parachuters who fall in France to get back to their homes in like the Allied countries, or get them to Britain or whatever. So yeah, this is definitely a good book. Like, I read it so quickly. It really just, every chapter you just want to keep reading. So definitely give this book a try. Okay, so The House of Spirits by Isabel Allende. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This book is really interesting. It's the first book that I've read that has like oh, there's a word for it, but it's like magic. There's magic in the society, like in the world, but it's thought to be normal. Kind of like you're doing the dishes and there's a magical charm that makes sure that your plates never chip. Like, it's stuff like that. Like, the magic is so incorporated into the world. It seems so realistic. Like, it's our world, but there are just little things that make it different, if that makes sense. It's a really good read. The writing is so beautiful. Like, the imagery is so good. It follows, like, a family and, like, a couple, like, I think two, 3 maybe generations of families. And it's really just so much character development, so much happens in like this book. It's really crazy. It doesn't really just center around one thing. Like, it's an accumulation of history and of events that have happened, and it's really good. It's so good. So I definitely recommend reading this book. Like, you won't regret it. Your writing, if you like writing, your writing will get so much better just from reading this book. Like, it really is an eye opener. So check this one out too. Okay, so this book looks small. It's not. The font looks like this. It's like 1,000 pages, but it is definitely a book that you should read. The Pillars of Earth by Ken Follett, I guess is how you pronounce his name. This book was recommended to me by, I guess, a family friend, you could say. It is super good. Also, look at the aestheticness of this cover. Like, that's awesome. But yeah, so this book is really good. It's historical fiction, which I guess is a lot on this list, but I like history, so it's historical fiction set in the Middle Ages in Britain. I believe, yeah, it's set in Britain. Super duper good. Really in depth, really realistic. It's about also like the House of Spirits, kind of a family, over like the course of 2 generations, I guess, again, or maybe 3 even. I can't quite remember. But it's all centered around this church. So building churches back then, like building these buildings that today don't seem like that big of a deal to us, like a small stone church. Crazy deal here. And they don't even go, like, they try for a small church, but certain things happen, and this church, it takes decades to build, and it's really interesting. Like, the plot is so suspenseful, and it's a good read. It's definitely a good read. If you like history, if you like anything like medieval stuff, like, you're gonna like this book. One warning though that I'd give is it's definitely very graphic. It doesn't sugarcoat anything. So if you're not into violence, you would not read this book. It definitely gets graphic at times. So yeah, still really good though. Still really good. Okay, so The Demon King is actually a part of a series, and this series is so good. I think I read the entire series in like a week. As you can see, I have like all my little sticky things in it because I think I like chose this book for my outside reading book for school. But it's so good. It's about, there's a lot. It's a whole world. Like, you get pushed into this entire world of all these different types of people. Like many of the other books I've recommended, it has magic in it. It's about 2 main characters. How do I describe this? Okay, so one who's like a thief, I guess, who lives off the streets by his wits, and then another one is like the queen to be, the princess, I guess, and she is trying to wait. Okay, so they're trying to destroy like the Demon King, I guess, or like this amulet, and like the wizards get their powers from amulets. So there's a lot of stuff that happens in the story. Honestly, it's really hard. It shouldn't be hard, but it kind of is hard to explain. Like, I know, like, oh, a thief and a princess, like, that's so cliche, that's so dumb, but it really isn't. Like, there's so much, like, the author changes about these characters that just add so much depth to them. Like, like the princess, I guess you could say, her father was from one of like the clans that live in the mountains that make these amulets. They aren't wizards themselves, but they make the amulets for the wizards. And then her mother is just like a regular person of Fels, so she kind of has like that double heritage, two different identities, but like her main goal, her main purpose is to serve her kingdom, I guess. She's a really strong female character, and then Han is just amazing, witty, and funny. And you'll see, I'm not going to spoil anything, but you'll see what happens. Like, I don't know if it's going to be a surprise, but it's like, there's a lot of books. There's like, I don't know if it says, I'm going to say there's like 5 books maybe. And so, if you read this, you're definitely in for a journey, and you're going to lose sleep over it. You're going to read till 1 a.m., but that's okay. Yeah, definitely read this one. It's super good. Okay, so this is a much smaller book. It's Dream Work by Mary Oliver. It's so good. It's like a book of poems, if you can see, poems. And normally I'm not really the type of person who really likes books with poetry in it. If I'm reading something, I really want there to be plot, characters, like something that really keeps me coming back to the story. But her poetry is just so intriguing, and it's so beautiful and simple, and at the same time there's a lot of meaning somehow packed behind like every single word, every single phrase. And I would definitely read this book. It takes no time at all. I haven't even finished it. Like, this is the kind of book that you'll read a couple poems and like think about, and then maybe like a month later you'll come back and read a couple poems and think about. It never grows old because there's so many poems and they're so different from each other, and they're all so good, and you don't have to read it all at one time, which I really like too about this book. Sometimes I know there are like certain poem books where you have to actually read it, like it's actually a story in poems. I'm personally not a big fan of that, but this. Also, Mary Oliver died this year. She's my favorite poet, and she passed away this year. And her poetry is really good. She won a Pulitzer Prize for her poetry, so I would definitely give this book a read. Okay, saving my opinion best for last. Call Me by Your Name. Call Me by Your Name is, I think, my favorite book. It's hard to keep track sometimes because I like to read a lot, and I read a lot of good stuff, and I think I read a lot of bad stuff too. It's just like trashy filler fodder that I read. Oh shoot, is definitely, or I think anyways, it's probably my favorite book. I read it last Christmas. I actually got it from Target, which is surprising because normally I'm like a book shop and I'll only go to like Barnes and Noble or like little independent bookshops and fairs or whatever. But I got this from Target, and it's honestly my favorite book. It's about Elio. Each summer his family like hosts like a student or like a professor. His father's a professor, so they host someone who comes and like goes with his father on like little expedition trips, I guess, and helps him with his paperwork or just stuff like that. But the book is really about Elio and his relationship with one of the people, or one of a graduate student really, who comes and spends the summer. It's so beautiful. The imagery is amazing. The characters, the plot is also really good. I guess you could say it's a slow burn. It's not like as painful as some, thank God, but it's definitely there. Like you'll be like every chapter will be like, okay, when is it gonna happen? When is it gonna happen? Like what's happening? But yeah, I really just like, it's set in Italy, and it's really, the plot is just sun drenched, and just, it's like you're there and it's like paradise, I guess. But like while it seems like paradise and like his life seems really like amazing and beautiful, he holds like a lot of almost, I guess, an insecurity inside, being gay, coming to confront, I guess, who he is as an individual. it's a really coming of age story, but it's a great summer read. It's really bittersweet in a way. It's really bittersweet, but yeah, it's great. Definitely read this. Like, you don't have to listen to anything else that I said, but definitely read this. And there's a movie too, actually. And the movie, in my opinion, is I almost like the plot better. Like, you get so much more of the character. So read this first, because when you'll watch the movie, like, you'll know the characters. Like, you'll understand like who they are, like, more than what the movie can really tell you. Oh, there's a bug. But the movie, the shots are so beautiful, and they shot it all in this like one lens. So it's kind of like you're there. Like, the lens is like the human eye. You're that person. That's what they shot the entire movie with. And the colors are so beautiful, and it's really amazing. Yeah, so definitely watch the movie too. Like, this is probably my favorite book, but that's like definitely my favorite movie. Um, yeah, yeah. So read this. Okay, so that was everything for the summer book recommendations. I really hope you like this video. If you want, comment down below, like, if you've read one of these books and which one's your favorite, or like any book recommendations for me, because I really need to, like, once school is out, I really need to start reading more, kind of take a break sometimes during school. Oh, the cat. I can bring the cat over. I'll be right back. Fritzy also says, oh, Fritzy baby. Fritzy also says to read more. It's good for you. But yeah, so comment down below if you read any of these books and if you like it. If you want to talk about any of them, like the plots, I'd love to read them. So yeah, that's everything. I hope you guys have a good summer, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.